For 6 months I pretended my husband's poison was working while he had me locked in a psych ward, stole my billion-dollar empire, and took custody of our daughter. He didn't know I was 10 steps ahead and waiting for the perfect moment to destroy him on LiveTv. The studio lights were blinding. Millions of people were watching live, and my husband had no idea I was about to walk through that door. Owen sat across from the host, that perfect smile plastered on his face. The same smile he'd used when he crushed pills into my coffee every morning for 6 months. The same smile he wore when he had me dragged out of my own company in handcuffs. The same smile he practiced in the mirror before telling the world he was a devoted husband standing by his mentally ill wife. Amanda Cross leaned forward with that concerned expression talk show hosts perfect over years of practice. Owen, before we get to your big announcement today, there's something we need to address. His smile faltered just slightly. What do you mean? We've received some information, very serious information, about how you actually came to run Rhodes Architecture Group. I don't understand. Owen's voice carried just the right amount of confusion, just the right amount of innocence. Let me help you understand. Amanda looked off camera and nodded. The side door opened. I stepped onto that stage in my black power suit, every hair in place, eyes locked on the man who'd tried to erase me. The studio gasped. Someone screamed. Owen's face went completely white. All the blood drained from his skin in seconds. His mouth opened, but no sound came out. I walked across that stage with 6 months of rage powering every step, sat down in the chair opposite him, crossed my legs, smiled. Hello, Owen. His hands were shaking. Scarlett, what? You're supposed to be locked away while you steal my company? I kept my voice calm, conversational, like we were discussing the weather. Play victim to the media? Live in my house with your mistress? This isn't. You can't. I pulled out the remote control I'd been holding. Can't what? Show everyone who you really are. I clicked the button. Every screen in that studio lit up with video footage. Crystal clear, undeniable. Owen Ashby, my husband, crushing pills with the back of a spoon, stirring them into my morning coffee, looking around to make sure no one was watching. Then, smiling, the studio erupted. People gasping, some crying out in shock. Owen lunged forward like he was going to grab the remote. That's not real. That's edited. This is insane. I didn't move, didn't flinch. It's not edited, Owen. It's from the hidden cameras I installed in our kitchen 6 months ago. The cameras you had no idea existed. I clicked again. Audio this time. Owen's voice on a phone call. The symptoms are getting worse. Another month, and we can have her committed. A woman's voice responded. Good. Once she's locked up, you move on the assets. Full control. Owen again. And then we can finally be together. Publicly. That voice, Scarlett said, looking directly at the camera, belongs to Dr. Renee Palmer, my therapist, also my husband's mistress, also the woman who falsified my psychiatric evaluations to have me committed so Owen could steal everything I'd built. But we're getting ahead of ourselves. Let me tell you how this really started. Let me tell you about the morning my entire world shattered with one dissolved pill at the bottom of a coffee cup. The pill was half dissolved when I found it, white and chalky, breaking apart in the dark liquid like a secret that couldn't stay hidden anymore. I was standing in my kitchen, the one I'd designed myself in the mansion I'd bought with money I earned sketching buildings, on napkins during overnight shifts at a diner when I was 19 years old. Before I became Scarlett Rhodes, billionaire architect. Before Forbes called me the visionary who built the future. Before the world decided I was someone worth watching. Before I married a man who was apparently trying to destroy me. My hands started shaking before my brain fully processed what I was seeing. I fished the pill out with trembling fingers. It left a white residue on my skin that felt like it was burning even though I knew that was impossible. I knew the real burning was happening somewhere deeper, in the place where betrayal lives. The kitchen spun around me. The marble countertops I'd selected. The custom cabinets I'd designed. The morning light streaming through windows that overlooked a garden I'd planted with my own hands. Everything familiar suddenly felt like a stage set, like I'd been living in a performance I didn't know I was part of. Owen had made this coffee. I watched him do it 20 minutes ago, watched him move around this kitchen with the easy confidence of someone who belonged here, someone who had every right to be here. He'd kissed my forehead, told me he loved me, handed me this cup with that smile, the one the cameras loved, the one that had been on magazine covers, the one that made millions of people believe he was the most devoted, supportive husband in America. I stared at that pill. My mind was racing through possibilities, trying to find an explanation that wasn't the one screaming at me. Maybe it fell in accidentally. Maybe it was something harmless. Maybe I was paranoid and overreacting, and this was nothing. But I knew, deep down in that place where women's intuition lives, the place we're taught to ignore, the place we're told is just anxiety or overthinking or hormones. I knew. I wrapped the pill in a tissue, held it in my fist like evidence at a crime scene, because that's what it was. Evidence that the man who whispered, "You're my everything," in my ear at night was feeding me something that wasn't love. I grabbed my keys, got in my car, drove to Dr. Paul Okonkwo's office with that tissue clutched in my hand so tight my knuckles went white. Dr. Paul had been my private physician for 5 years. Owen didn't even know about him. I'd kept him secret after Owen had gotten so controlling about my medical care, insisting I see doctors he recommended, getting angry when I wanted second opinions. I should have seen the red flags then. But hindsight is a luxury you only get after everything falls apart. Dr. Paul's receptionist took one look at my face and got me in immediately. I sat in that examination room staring at diplomas on the wall without actually seeing them. My mind was somewhere else, everywhere else, replaying every morning for the past 6 weeks, every smoothie Owen made me, every fresh squeezed juice he'd prepared with such theatrical care, every concerned look when I'd stumbled during presentations, when my hands shook during board meetings, when I'd lost entire minutes of time mid-sentence in front of investors. "You're working too hard, honey." Owen would say this in front of colleagues, in front of cameras, his hand on my back, his voice dripping with concern. "Maybe you should rest." And I'd believed him. God help me, I'd believed every word. Dr. Paul came in holding a tablet. His face was grave, careful in that way doctors get when they have to deliver bad news. "Scarlett." He sat down across from me. I ran the tests on the substance he brought in. "What is it?" My voice didn't sound like mine. "Haloperidol. It's an antipsychotic medication, a strong one. And based on the blood work I just did, you have significant levels in your system." The room tilted sideways. I gripped the edge of the examination table. "I'm not taking any medication." "I know you're not." Dr. Paul leaned forward. "Which means someone is giving this to you without your knowledge or consent. Scarlett, this isn't an accident. Based on these levels, this has been happening systematically, for weeks, maybe longer. Poisoning." The word hung in the air between us like smoke, heavy and choking. "How long?" I managed to get the words out. "Based on these levels and the half-life of the drug." He pulled up charts on his tablet. "At least 6 weeks. Possibly more. 6 weeks." I thought about the past 6 weeks of my life. The board meeting where I'd collapsed, hyperventilating, convinced everyone was watching me, convinced there were cameras hidden in the walls. My colleagues had exchanged worried glances, whispered among themselves. Someone called an ambulance. The media had picked it up within hours. Scarlett Road's health crisis. What we know. Billionaire architect hospitalized after breakdown. Owen had been at that meeting. He'd rushed to my side, held my hand in the ambulance, told the reporters he was concerned about my health, that I'd been working too hard, that he just wanted me to be okay. The shareholders meeting where I'd lost my train of thought in the middle of presenting quarterly earnings. Just stood there at the podium staring at 500 people with my mouth open and no words coming out. The silence had stretched for 30 seconds that felt like 30 years. Someone had to help me off the stage. Owen had been waiting in the wings, so concerned, so caring. The morning I'd found myself in my car in a parking lot downtown with no memory of how I'd gotten there. I'd been in my office reviewing building plans. Then I was sitting in my car 3 miles away with 2 hours missing from my memory. I'd called Owen crying, terrified, thinking maybe I'd had a stroke. Maybe I had a brain tumor. Maybe I was dying. He'd come to get me, driven me home, put me to bed, brought me tea, and told me everything would be okay. All of it. Every single incident. Every moment I thought I was losing my mind. It was him. Owen had done this. Fed me poison and watched me fall apart. Played concerned husband while destroying me from the inside. "I need you to give me something." My voice came out steady, stronger than I felt. something that will flush this out of my system. But I can't let anyone know. Dr. Paul's eyes widened. Scarlett, we need to call the police right now. No, if someone is systematically poisoning you, then I need to know why. I met his eyes, and I need to catch them in a way they can't escape. Please, Paul, trust me. Just trust me. He studied my face for a long moment. I could see him weighing options, considering consequences, wondering if I was in my right mind to make this decision. Finally, he nodded slowly, pulled out his prescription pad. I'll give you a binding agent. It'll help clear the haloperidol from your system faster. But Scarlett, please be careful. Whatever you're planning, I will. I took the prescription with hands that had stopped shaking. Something cold and clear had settled over me. Something that felt like purpose. And Paul, not a word to anyone, especially not Owen. I drove home in silence. No radio, no podcasts, just the sound of my own breathing and my mind racing through possibilities. Owen was trying to make me look unstable, incompetent, crazy. The symptoms of haloperidol matched perfectly with what he'd been telling people. Paranoia, confusion, psychotic episodes. But why? We had a prenuptial agreement, sure, but it was fair. If we divorced, he'd walk away with $20 million. A generous settlement by any standard. Why go through all this? Unless $20 million wasn't enough. Unless he wanted it all. I pulled into our driveway. Our mansion sat on 3 acres in the most exclusive neighborhood in the city. I'd designed it myself. Every window, every angle, every detail crafted to be both beautiful and functional. Rhodes Architecture Group was worth $3.8 billion. I owned 70% of it. My personal net worth was just over $2 billion. If Owen could have me declared mentally incompetent, if he could get me committed, as my spouse, he could potentially take control of everything. I sat in my car staring at my house, the house I'd built, the life I'd created, and I realized my husband wasn't just trying to hurt me. He was trying to erase me. I went inside through the garage. Quiet. Careful. Owen was in his office on a video call. I could hear his voice carrying down the hallway. That smooth, confident tone he used for business. I went straight to my home office, locked the door, opened my laptop. If Owen was going to try to destroy me, I needed to know everything. Every detail, every piece of his plan. I spent the next 3 days installing hidden cameras. Tiny things, smaller than a button, tucked into corners and hidden in plain sight. Kitchen, bedroom, Owen's office, his car, even his gym bag. I worked when he was out of the house, when he thought I was resting in bed, when he believed his poison was working and I was too confused to notice what was happening around me. It took me 72 hours to cover every angle, every space he moved through, every place he thought he was alone. On day 4, I made my morning coffee, sat at the kitchen table with my laptop pretending to read emails. Took the binding agent Dr. Paul had prescribed so I'd be clear-headed. Owen came down at 7:30 like clockwork, kissed the top of my head. Morning, beautiful. Morning. I kept my eyes on my screen. He moved around the kitchen making his protein smoothie. His morning routine. The same thing every day. Then he walked to the coffee maker, poured himself a cup, his back to me. I kept my eyes on my laptop, watching him through the camera I'd hidden in the light fixture above the sink. The angle was perfect. Owen glanced over his shoulder, checking if I was watching. I kept my head down. He reached into his pocket, pulled out a small pill bottle, shook 2 pills into his palm, set the bottle on the counter. Then he crushed the pills with the back of a spoon. Methodical, practiced, like he'd done this 100 times. He stirred the powder into my coffee mug, the one sitting on the counter waiting for a refill, stirred it until it dissolved completely. Then he picked up the mug and brought it to me with a smile. Here you go, honey. I noticed you were running low. Thank you. I took the mug from his hands. Our fingers touched. He looked at me with those eyes that had once made me feel safe. Big day today. He sat down across from me. You have that presentation to the board at 3, right? I do. I held the poisoned coffee, felt its warmth through the ceramic. Yes, don't push yourself too hard. He reached across the table and squeezed my hand. If you need to reschedule, no one will judge you. Everyone knows you've been struggling. I'll be fine. I smiled at him. I'm feeling much better lately. Good. He stood up, kissed my forehead. I love you. I love you too. He left for his morning run. The garage door closed behind him. I poured the coffee down the sink, rinsed the mug, sat back down at my laptop, and pulled up the camera footage. I watched my husband poison me in high definition. Watched him check to make sure I wasn't looking. Watched him crush those pills with the practiced ease of repetition. Watched him smile as he brought me poison disguised as care. I sat in my kitchen alone and cried. Not the pretty crying you see in movies. The ugly kind where you can't breathe, and your whole body shakes, and you make sounds you didn't know you were capable of. 22 years in foster care had taught me to survive. 10 years building roads architecture from nothing had taught me to fight. 6 years of marriage had taught me to trust. Owen was teaching me something else entirely. I wiped my face, took a shaky breath, opened a new folder on my laptop and titled it Evidence. Then I got to work. For 1 week, I documented everything. Every morning, I'd take the binding agent to stay clear-headed. Every morning, Owen would poison my coffee. Every morning, I'd pour it out when he left and save the footage. But the cameras captured so much more than just the poisoning. Day 2. Owen's car. He was parked outside a coffee shop downtown. I watched through the camera I'd hidden under his dashboard. A woman got into the passenger seat. Professional looking, late 30s, attractive in that polished, put-together way. She leaned over and kissed him. Not a friendly peck, a deep kiss, the kind that spoke of familiarity and intimacy. They pulled apart, and she smiled. How much longer do we have to wait? Not much longer. Owen's voice was different with her. Lighter, happier. The symptoms are progressing exactly as planned. Another month, maybe 6 weeks, and we can move forward with the commitment. And then you'll have full control, power of attorney over everything, the company, the assets, all of it. Owen reached over and tucked her hair behind her ear. And we can finally stop hiding. What if she fights it? She won't. Owen laughed. Do you know what she asked me this morning? If she should reschedule her board presentation because she's been struggling. She actually used that word, struggling. She's already accepting the narrative we're building. The woman smiled. You're brilliant. We're brilliant. Owen kissed her again. This only works because of you, Renee. Renee. I paused the footage, stared at that face. Dr. Renee Palmer, my therapist, the one Owen had suggested I start seeing 3 months ago. To help with the stress, he'd said, to give me someone to talk to about the pressures of running a billion-dollar company. I'd been seeing her twice a week, telling her everything. My fears about my memory problems, my anxiety about the board losing confidence in me, my worries that something was seriously wrong with my health. And she'd been documenting it all, building a case that I was mentally unstable, preparing the evidence that would get me committed, while sleeping with my husband, while planning to help him steal everything I'd built. I kept watching. Day 3, Owen's office at home. Late at night, I was supposedly asleep upstairs. The camera hidden in his bookshelf captured everything. Owen was on his laptop. I could see his screen reflected in his glasses. He was searching Google. Involuntary psychiatric commitment laws, how to prove spouse mentally incompetent, power of attorney mental illness, asset seizure, involuntary commitment, how long until I can access spouse's accounts if declared unfit. He was researching, planning, building a roadmap to destroy me. Day 5, another phone call. Owen in his car again. On speaker. Renee's voice came through. I submitted my evaluation to the court today. What did you say? That your wife is experiencing severe paranoid delusions, hallucinations, and violent mood swings. That she's a danger to herself and potentially to others. That she requires immediate psychiatric hospitalization. Owen exhaled. Perfect. How soon can we move? I'd recommend one more very public incident. Something that gets media attention. Then we file for emergency commitment. With my evaluation and the public evidence of her deterioration, no judge will deny it. And after she's committed, you wait a respectable amount of time. 3 months, maybe 4. Then you file for divorce citing mental incapacity. With her locked up and unable to contest it, you'll get everything. The company, the assets, full custody of Jade. Owen was quiet for a moment. And what about after the divorce is final? What do you mean? I mean long term. I can't have her coming back and fighting this in 5 years when she's released. Renee's voice got very quiet. What are you saying, Owen? I'm saying accidents happen. Overdoses, suicides. People with severe mental illness, especially after a divorce, sometimes do desperate things. As long as it looks natural. You're talking about killing her. I'm talking about tying up loose ends, making sure we're protected. Silence on the line. Then Renee spoke. Okay, just like that. Okay, my husband and my therapist were planning to poison me, have me committed, steal everything I owned, and then murder me. I sat in my office watching this footage and felt something shift inside me. The fear burned away. The betrayal transformed into something harder, clearer, cold rage. I called Malcolm Chen. We'd grown up in the foster system together. Different homes, but the same survival instinct. He'd become a lawyer. I'd become an architect. We'd stayed close through everything. He answered on the first ring. Scarlett, what's wrong? You sound strange. I need you to come to my house. Now, don't tell anyone. And Malcolm, you're going to think I've lost my mind. He was there in 20 minutes. I led him to my office, locked the door, showed him everything. Every video of Owen poisoning me, every recording of him with Renee, every search history log, every phone call planning my destruction and murder. Malcolm's face went through stages. Disbelief, horror, rage, concern. When the final video ended, he stood up and paced my office. We call the police right now, tonight. We get him arrested and we make sure he never sees daylight again. No, he spun around. Scarlett, he's planning to kill you. I know. And if we go to the police now, what happens? I met his eyes. Owen hires the best defense lawyers money can buy. Renee testifies that I'm paranoid and delusional, that I've been having psychotic episodes for months, that I fabricated this evidence during a mental breakdown. She won't be able to explain away these videos, won't she? I pulled up one of the recordings. Owen's lawyer will argue the videos are edited, that my claims of poisoning are delusions. They'll say I installed cameras because of paranoid fantasies that my husband was trying to hurt me. Renee's psychiatric evaluation will back that up. Malcolm sat down hard. So what do you want to do? I want to let him commit me. I watched his face carefully. Let him think his plan worked. Let him take everything. And while he's celebrating, we gather every piece of evidence we need to destroy him so completely he'll never recover. That's insane. I know, but if I fight this now, it's my word against his, a bitter wife against a devoted husband. I'll look vindictive. He'll look like a victim. And even if we win, he'll get a plea deal. Reduced sentence. He'll be out in 5 years and spend the rest of his life making mine miserable. And your alternative is to let him lock you in a psychiatric facility for months. 6 months. I'd already done the research. That's the standard evaluation period for involuntary commitment. 6 months where I'll have Dr. Paul monitoring my health remotely, where you'll be building our case, where Owen will think he's won and get careless. Malcolm stared at me. You're terrifying. I'm angry. I leaned forward. And I don't want him arrested quietly. I don't want a trial where he plays victim. I want the world to see exactly who he is. I want his reputation obliterated. I want him to lose everything the same way he tried to make me lose everything. I want him destroyed. How? I smiled. I have an idea, but I'm going to need your help. And you're going to have to trust me even when what I'm doing looks completely insane. Malcolm looked at me for a long time. Finally, he nodded. Always. What do you need me to do? First, I pulled out a legal pad. I need you to hire a forensic accountant. I want every transaction Owen has made in the last year tracked. Every account he has access to monitored. If he's planning to steal from the company, I want documentation. Done. What else? I need you to contact these women. I slid a piece of paper across the desk with 2 names. Felicity Grant and Bethany Cole. Owen's previous mistresses. See if they'll testify about their affairs with him. You knew about other affairs. I found out about Felicity 2 years ago. Caught them in our guest bedroom. Owen convinced me it was a one-time mistake. That he was stressed and made a terrible choice. That he'd never do it again. I paused. I believed him. I was so stupid. You weren't stupid. You were a wife who wanted to believe her husband. Malcolm's voice was gentle. What about Bethany Cole? Owen doesn't know I know about her. But I found emails last year. She worked at Rhodes Architecture. Marketing executive. He dumped her when I was considering taking a job in another city, and he couldn't risk losing access to my money and connections. I'll track them down. Good. And Malcolm, I need you to be prepared for what's coming. I'm going to have to make this believable. The breakdown, the commitment, all of it. And some of what you see is going to be hard to watch. I can handle it. I hope so, because the hardest part hasn't even started yet. The hardest part was Jade. My daughter, 9 years old, smart as hell, perceptive in that way kids are when they grow up watching their parents pretend everything is fine. I waited until Owen left the house, tracked his location on the app I'd secretly installed on his phone. He was at Renee's apartment across town. I went to Jade's bedroom and knocked softly. "Baby, can we talk?" She looked up from her homework. Her dark curls fell around her face. She had Owen's smile, unfortunately, but she had my eyes, my determination. "Sure, Mom. What's wrong? You look sad." I sat on her bed and patted the space next to me. She climbed up and curled against my side. "How do you start this conversation? How do you tell your 9-year-old daughter that her father is a monster?" "Sweetheart, I need to tell you something very important and very scary." Her body tensed. "What is it?" "Daddy is doing something very bad. He's been hurting Mommy, and he's trying to take everything from us." Jade pulled back to look at my face. "What do you mean hurting you? Like hitting?" "No. Worse in some ways. He's been putting medicine in my coffee that makes me sick. Medicine that makes me confused and scared. And he's doing it so people will think Mommy is crazy." Her eyes went wide. "Daddy. But Daddy is nice. I know he seems that way, baby. Especially when other people are around. But when it's just us, when nobody's watching, he's different. Haven't you noticed?" She was quiet for a moment, then nodded slowly. "I've heard him yell at you. Late at night when you think I'm asleep. I hear it through the walls." My heart broke. "You have? For how long?" "A long time." She looked down at her hands. "He says mean things. That you care more about work than us. That you're not a good mom. But that's not true. You're the best mom." "Oh, baby." I pulled her close. "I'm so sorry you've heard those things. You should never have had to hear your father talk to me that way. Why does he do it?" "Because Daddy wants to take the company Mommy built. He wants all of Mommy's money. And the only way he can get it is by making everyone think Mommy is too sick to run the company anymore." Jade processed this, her brilliant little mind working through the implications. "So he's poisoning you to make you look crazy so he can steal your company." "Yes, that's evil." "Yes, it is." I took a breath. "And baby, Mommy has a plan to stop him. But it's going to be really scary for a little while." "What kind of plan?" "Mommy is going to pretend that Daddy's poison is working. I'm going to act very sick, very confused. And Daddy is going to send Mommy to a hospital, a place for people who have problems with their brains." Jade's eyes filled with tears. "No, I don't want you to go. I know, sweetheart, but it's the only way to catch him. If I fight him now, he'll say I'm being paranoid. He'll get good lawyers. He might not get punished. But if I let him think his plan is working, if I let him lock me away, he'll get confident. He'll make mistakes. And Mommy and Malcolm will be gathering proof the whole time." "How long?" Her voice was so small. "Maybe 6 months. 6 months." She started crying for real now. "That's so long." "I know, baby. I know. And here's the hardest part. While Mommy is gone, Daddy might say mean things about me. He might try to make you think Mommy is really crazy, that Mommy doesn't love you, that Mommy abandoned you. But that's not true. It's not true at all." I held her face in my hands. "No matter what Daddy says, no matter what you see on the news or hear from other people, you have to remember. Mommy is pretending. Mommy is acting. I'm not really sick. This is all part of the plan to catch Daddy and stop him from hurting us." "Okay." She wiped her eyes. "Okay, I'll remember. And baby, I need you to do something very brave for me." I reached into my pocket and pulled out a delicate heart locket on a silver chain. It was beautiful, expensive looking, exactly the kind of jewelry a mother might give her daughter. What Jay didn't know is that I'd spent $3,000 having a recording device installed inside it, so small and sophisticated that it was virtually undetectable. This necklace is very special. I fastened it around her neck. Inside this heart is a tiny recorder. It will record everything that happens around you, especially when you're with Daddy. Like a spy. Her eyes widened. Exactly like a spy. I need you to wear this every single day. And I need you to never tell anyone what it really is. Not Daddy. Not your friends. Not your teachers. Can you do that? I can do it. She touched the locket. Will it help catch Daddy? It will help so much. Everything Daddy says to you while I'm gone, we'll have proof of it. So when this is all over, everyone will know the truth. Good. She set her jaw in that stubborn way she had. I want everyone to know the truth about him. You're so brave, sweetheart. I pulled her into a hug. So much braver than you should have to be. Mom. Yeah, baby. Are you scared? I paused, considered lying, then decided she deserved the truth. Yes, I'm very scared, but I'm also very angry. And sometimes being angry makes you brave enough to do scary things. I'm scared too. She held me tighter. But I'll be brave if you're brave. Deal. We sat like that for a long time. Mother and daughter, planning to take down the man who was supposed to protect us both. When Owen came home that night, I was in bed pretending to sleep. He slipped in quietly. I felt him stand there watching me. Wondered what he was thinking. If he felt any guilt at all. If some small part of him remembered loving me. Then he turned and left without a word. And I knew the answer was no. The performance had to be perfect. Not just convincing. Flawless. Dr. Paul had given me the binding agent that would flush the haloperidol from my system quickly. The beauty of it was that I could control when I appeared symptomatic. If I needed to seem stable and lucid, I'd take the binding agent and stay clear-headed. If I needed to put on a show, I'd let Owen poison me that morning and let the drug do its work. It gave me power, control, even as I was pretending to lose both. The first public performance was a board meeting. Rhodes Architecture Group quarterly review. $600 million project presentation. I'd let Owen poison me that morning. Felt the haloperidol hit my system about an hour before the meeting. The familiar symptoms. Trembling hands. Rising paranoia. The feeling that walls were closing in. I walked into that boardroom at 2:55. 15 board members. My executive team. Investors. The room was full. Owen was there too. He'd started attending my board meetings 3 months ago. To support you, he'd said. To understand the business better. To watch me fall apart, I now knew. I started the presentation strong. Pulled up the architectural renderings for the Maxwell District project. Our biggest contract to date. A complete redesign of an entire downtown area. Sustainable buildings. Green spaces. Affordable housing integrated with luxury developments. It was brilliant work. My team had spent 18 months on these designs. This project represents the future of urban planning. I walked the board through the renderings, explaining the environmental impact, the projected economic benefits, the timeline for completion. 10 minutes in, the haloperidol really hit. My hand started trembling. I tried to hide it, kept talking, kept clicking through slides. The structural integrity of the... I lost my words, stared at the screen. What was I saying? The board members exchanged glances. Mrs. Rhodes, one of them leaned forward. Are you all right? I'm fine. Give me a second. I looked down at my notes. The words swam on the page. I couldn't focus. Couldn't remember what came next. The paranoia crept in. Insidious. Overwhelming. I looked up at the 15 faces watching me. And suddenly, I was convinced. Absolutely certain. They were all in on it. All of them. Working with Owen. Plotting against me. Do you see them? I pointed at the corners of the room. The cameras. They're everywhere. You're all watching me. All the time. Scarlet. Owen stood up. His voice perfectly calibrated. Concerned, but not panicked. Maybe you should sit down. No. I backed away from the conference table. You're all here to take it from me. I know what you're doing. No one is trying to take anything. Another board member stood. We're just worried about you. The walls. I spun around. They have cameras. I can see them. Why are you watching me? What do you want? My voice was getting louder. Higher. I knew it. Couldn't stop it. I know you're watching me. I dropped the presentation clicker, fell to my knees. My breath came in gasps. Couldn't get air. The room was spinning and closing in, and everyone was staring, and they were all part of it. Someone called security. 2 men in uniforms appeared and tried to help me up. "Don't touch me." I shoved them away. "Get away from me, all of you." Owen rushed over, knelt beside me. "It's okay, honey. Let's get you out of here. You're just tired." His hand on my back. That same concerned voice he'd use for the cameras that were definitely recording this. Security helped me out of the boardroom. Owen followed close behind, playing the devoted husband perfectly. In the car, Owen smiled. "That was perfect, Scarlett. Keep it up." I stared out the window and said nothing. The video of my breakdown was on the internet within an hour. Someone had filmed it on their phone, posted it everywhere. Scarlett Rhodes' health crisis. Billionaire architect has breakdown during board meeting. CEO of Rhodes Architecture removed from presentation after outburst. The comments were brutal. She's clearly unstable. Rich people problems. That poor husband trying to help her. Someone get this woman some help. She's having a mental breakdown in real time. Perfect. That afternoon, I took the binding agent, cleared my system, called Malcolm from a burner phone I'd hidden in my office. It started. I saw. His voice was tight. "Are you okay?" "I'm fine." It was all acting. Well, mostly acting. The haloperidol does make me feel genuinely paranoid, but I'm controlling when I take it. "This is dangerous, Scarlett." "I know, but it's working." Owen thinks I'm falling apart exactly according to his plan. He won't suspect I'm 10 steps ahead of him. "What do you need from me?" "Keep building the case. Financial forensics, witness statements, everything. And Malcolm, get ready for it to get worse. The next performance has to be even more public." "What are you planning?" "Jade's school has a fundraiser event next week. I'm going to make sure I put on a show that goes viral. Scarlett, trust me." I hung up before he could argue. The school fundraiser was perfect. Parent-teacher organization event, tours of the classrooms, bake sale, family photos, the kind of wholesome community gathering that would have tons of witnesses and even more camera phones. I let Owen poison me that morning. Double dose. I watched him do it. 2 pills instead of 1. The haloperidol hit hard. We arrived at Jade's school at 4 o'clock. Jade was wearing her necklace, recording everything. For the first 30 minutes I held it together, smiled at other parents, chatted with teachers, looked at Jade's artwork on the classroom walls. Owen stayed close, his hand on my lower back, guiding me. To anyone watching, he looked like an attentive husband making sure his struggling wife was okay. Then the drug really kicked in. We were in the gymnasium where they'd set up tables for the bake sale. Maybe 50 parents milling around, kids running between tables. I felt it coming. The paranoia, the overwhelming certainty that everyone was watching me, judging me, plotting against me. I tried to breathe through it, tried to remember that this wasn't real. This was the poison. This was Owen's doing. But the drug was stronger than my logic. "Mom," Jade touched my arm. "Are you okay?" I looked at my daughter, and suddenly I was absolutely convinced I didn't deserve her, that I was a terrible mother, that she would be better off without me. The thoughts came fast and vicious. "You're worthless. You're failing. Everyone knows it. Everyone sees it." I started crying. Right there, in the middle of the gymnasium. Other parents noticed, stopped talking, turned to look. "I'm a terrible mother." The words came out loud, too loud. "I don't deserve her. I don't deserve any of this." "Scarlett." Owen gripped my arm. "Let's go outside." "No." I pulled away. "You all think it too. I can see it. Everyone looking at me. Everyone judging." "Mrs. Rhodes." One of the teachers approached. "Do you need to sit down?" I couldn't finish the sentence. The room was spinning. Too many people. Too many eyes. All of them watching. All of them knowing I was falling apart. I can't breathe. I grabbed at my chest. "I can't. Someone help me. Please." Owen pulled me close, held me while I sobbed. Other parents were filming now. I could see phones pointed at me. Owen led me out of the gymnasium to the parking lot, helped me into the car, drove me home while I cried in the passenger seat. Jade sat in the back, silent, the necklace recording her father's performance. "It'll be okay, honey," Owen said to me, his voice so gentle, so caring. "We'll get you help. I promise." That video was online within 2 hours, had 5 million views by the next morning. Billionaire architect Scarlett Rhodes breaks down a daughter's school event. Owen Ashby stands by struggling wife. Mental health crisis. When success isn't enough. The comments were worse this time. "She needs to be institutionalized. This is sad to watch. Get help, Scarlett. That husband is a saint for staying." Those poor kids had to see that. I read every comment. Let each one fuel my rage. Let them strengthen my resolve. Owen thought he was winning. Thought he was destroying me piece by piece. He had no idea I was building his prison with every performance. 2 weeks later came the home video, the piece of evidence Owen would use to convince a judge I was a danger to myself. I set up a hidden camera in our bedroom, angled it to capture the whole room, made sure the footage would be clear. Then I waited for Owen to leave, watched his location on the tracker. He went to Renee's apartment at 9 p.m. I started the performance at 9:15. First, I tore apart my closet, threw clothes everywhere, ripped dresses off hangers, knocked over shoe racks. They're trying to take everything. I screamed it at the empty room. Everyone's against me. I know they are. I can feel it. I grabbed framed photos off the dresser. Our wedding photo, family pictures, threw them across the room. Glass shattered. Even Owen. I was sobbing now, real tears mixing with the performance, especially Owen. He wants to take it all. I know he does. I pulled books off shelves, knocked over lamps, made the room look like a tornado had gone through it. Then I collapsed on the floor in the middle of the destruction and cried. Let my body shake with sobs. Let myself look completely broken. Owen came home at 11. I heard the garage door, heard his footsteps on the stairs. He opened the bedroom door and stopped, took in the destruction, the broken glass, the scattered clothes, me in the middle of it all, curled in a ball. For just a second I thought I saw something on his face, not concern, satisfaction. Then he pulled out his phone and called 911. My wife is having a psychotic break. His voice was shaking, perfect trembling. She's destroyed our bedroom. She's talking to herself. I think she's a danger to herself. Please send help. The paramedics arrived 12 minutes later. They found me exactly where Owen had left me, still on the floor, still sobbing. "Ma'am, can you hear me?" One of them knelt beside me. They're all watching. I grabbed his shirt. All of them. The cameras are everywhere. Don't you see them? They exchanged glances. Called for a sedative. The shot made everything blurry. I let them load me onto a stretcher, let them wheel me out of my own house while Owen watched with those fake concerned eyes. At the hospital, Dr. Renee Palmer was waiting. What a coincidence that my therapist just happened to be on call that night. "Mrs. Rhodes," she leaned over me in the ER. "You're experiencing a severe psychiatric episode. We're going to help you." "I'm not crazy." I grabbed her wrist. "I'm not crazy. I know this is scary." She pulled free gently. "But you're not well. We're going to get you the treatment you need." Treatment. That's what they were calling it. Treatment. I looked up at the fluorescent lights of the emergency room, heard the beeping of monitors, felt the sedative pulling me under, and I smiled, because everything was going exactly according to plan. The commitment hearing was scheduled for 2 weeks after my emergency room visit, 2 weeks that Owen used to build his case against me. He gave interviews, talked to reporters, played the heartbroken husband so perfectly that even I almost believed him. I watched from the psychiatric evaluation unit where they'd placed me for observation, watched him on the hospital television while a nurse checked my vitals every 4 hours. Owen sat across from a reporter in our living room, the living room I designed, crying real tears. "It's been the hardest time of my life." He wiped his eyes, watching the woman I love struggle with mental illness, not being able to help her, feeling so powerless. "When did you first notice something was wrong?" The reporter leaned forward with practiced sympathy. "About 8 months ago." Owen's voice broke perfectly. "She started becoming paranoid, accusing colleagues of plotting against her, having these episodes where she didn't recognize me. It was terrifying. And you've stepped in to help run Rhodes Architecture in her absence." "Only temporarily." Owen shook his head. Everything I do is to honor her vision, her legacy. I'm just keeping the seat warm until she's well enough to return. That's beautiful. The reporter touched her heart. How is your daughter handling this? Jade is struggling. Owen pulled out his phone and showed a picture of Jade. My daughter looking sad, probably from when I'd had to explain the plan to her. But Owen was using it as evidence of a traumatized child. She misses her mom. We both do. But I'm trying to give her as much stability as possible. You're an incredible husband and father. I'm just doing what anyone would do for the person they love. I turned off the television, felt bile rise in my throat. The nurse came in with my evening medication, required pills now that I was under psychiatric observation. I took them obediently, swallowed them down. What she didn't know was that I'd perfected the art of holding pills under my tongue, spitting them out the moment she left, flushing them down the toilet. I wasn't going to let them actually medicate me. I needed to stay sharp, stay in control. Dr. Renee Palmer came to evaluate me every other day, sat across from me in the evaluation room with her clipboard and her fake concerned expression. How are you feeling today, Scarlett? Tired. I kept my voice flat, defeated, like everything was slipping away. Do you still believe people are watching you? I paused, pretended to consider. Sometimes. I don't know anymore. Maybe I imagined it. That's good. She made notes. Questioning your delusions is a positive sign. Are they delusions? I looked at her directly. Or is my husband really trying to steal my company? Her pen stopped moving for just a second. Scarlett, we've discussed this. Owen loves you. He's trying to help you by having me locked up, by getting you the treatment you need. She set down her clipboard. I know it's difficult to accept, but you're not well. The sooner you acknowledge that, the sooner we can help you recover. I wanted to laugh in her face, wanted to tell her I knew everything, that I had hours of footage of her and Owen together, that I knew about the plan to steal everything and then kill me. Instead, I nodded slowly. Maybe you're right. Maybe I'm not well. She smiled. That's progress, Scarlett. Real progress. After she left, I went to the bathroom and stared at myself in the mirror. I looked terrible. I'd lost weight. Dark circles under my eyes, hair unwashed and stringy. Good. I needed to look broken. Needed everyone to believe I was falling apart. My roommate in the evaluation unit was a woman named Teresa, mid-50s, actually mentally ill, bipolar disorder that had gone unmedicated for years. She talked constantly, rambling stories about her life, her kids who didn't visit, her ex-husband who she still loved. I listened, let her talk. It was better than being alone with my thoughts. One night, she asked me why I was there. My husband says I'm crazy. I told her the partial truth. Are you? I don't know anymore. Some days I think he's right. Some days I think he's gaslighting me. I paused. Do you know what gaslighting is? When someone makes you think you're crazy even though you're not. Teresa nodded. My ex-husband used to do that. He'd move things around the house and then tell me I was imagining it when I noticed. He'd make plans and then deny we ever talked about them. Made me feel like I was losing my mind. What did you do? I actually did lose my mind for a while. She laughed. That's how I ended up here the first time. But then I realized, if someone has to work that hard to convince you you're crazy, it's probably because you're seeing something they don't want you to see. I looked at her, really looked at her. This woman who the world had dismissed as mentally ill, and she just articulated exactly what Owen was doing. Thank you, I said. For what? For reminding me to trust myself. The commitment hearing arrived like a deadline. Malcolm had been working behind the scenes, building our case, but he couldn't be obviously involved in defending me. That would tip Owen off. Instead, I had a court-appointed attorney, a tired-looking public defender named James Morrison, who clearly believed I was genuinely mentally ill. He met with me the day before the hearing, went over what to expect. Mrs. Rhodes, I'll do my best to argue against commitment. But I have to be honest with you. The evidence is substantial. Your therapist's evaluation, the public incidents, the emergency room visit, your husband's testimony. He's lying, I said quietly. James looked uncomfortable. Mrs. Rhodes, I understand you're going through a difficult time. He's poisoning me, making me seem crazy so he can steal my company. James exchanged glances with the nurse standing by the door. This is exactly the kind of statement that will ensure you're committed. You cannot say things like this in front of the judge. It's the truth. The truth is that you need help." He closed his folder. "The best thing you can do tomorrow is stay calm. Don't make accusations. Show the judge you're capable of rational thought." I nodded, stopped arguing, let him think I was accepting his advice. But I had no intention of staying calm or seeming rational. I needed to be committed. Needed Owen to think he'd won completely. The courtroom was smaller than I expected. Just a judge, a court reporter, Dr. Renee Palmer, Owen, my useless attorney, and me. Jade wasn't allowed to attend. She was too young. Owen had left her with his mother, but she was wearing her necklace, recording everything that happened at home. The judge was a woman in her 60s. Judge Patricia Morrison. She looked at me with something like pity. "Mrs. Rhodes, do you understand why you're here today?" I nodded, tried to look confused and scared. It wasn't hard. Part of me actually was scared. Scared that something would go wrong with my plan. Scared that I'd end up actually trapped. "We're here to determine whether involuntary psychiatric commitment is necessary for your safety and the safety of others." Judge Morrison looked down at the papers in front of her. "I've reviewed the evaluations and evidence, but I'd like to hear testimony." She called Dr. Renee Palmer first. Renee walked to the witness stand, raised her right hand, swore to tell the truth. The irony would have been funny if it wasn't so infuriating. "Dr. Palmer, you've been treating Mrs. Rhodes for how long?" 3 months. Renee's voice was professional, calm. I began seeing her at her husband's request. He was concerned about her increasing stress levels and wanted her to have professional support. "And what have you observed during your treatment?" "Progressive deterioration." Renee pulled out her notes, started reading. "Mrs. Rhodes presents with severe paranoid delusions. She believes colleagues are conspiring against her, that there are hidden cameras watching her. She's had multiple psychotic episodes, including one that resulted in property destruction and emergency hospitalization. Have these episodes been witnessed by others?" "Yes. There have been several public incidents. A board meeting where she had a breakdown in front of 15 people. A school event where she became hysterical. Multiple reports from staff at Rhodes Architecture Group about erratic behavior. In your professional opinion, is Mrs. Rhodes a danger to herself or others?" "Yes." Renee looked directly at the judge. "I believe without intensive psychiatric treatment, she poses a significant risk. She's expressed paranoid ideation about her husband. She's had violent outbursts. She requires immediate intervention." "Thank you, Dr. Palmer." I watched Owen watching me. He was sitting in the gallery, looking sad, looking concerned, looking victorious. Next, they called Owen to testify. He walked to the stand slowly, like each step hurt, raised his hand, swore to tell the truth with his lying mouth. "Mr. Ashby, tell us about your wife's recent behavior." Owen took a breath. "It's been devastating to watch. The woman I married, this brilliant, confident architect, she's disappearing." He wiped his eyes. "She's being replaced by someone who's scared and paranoid and angry all the time." "Can you give specific examples?" 2 weeks ago, I came home and found our bedroom destroyed. She'd thrown everything. Broken glass everywhere. She was on the floor screaming that everyone was against her, that I was trying to steal from her." Owen's voice cracked. "I had to call 911. I didn't know what else to do. Must have been very difficult. The hardest thing I've ever experienced." Owen looked at me. "I love my wife, but I'm terrified. She's accused me of poisoning her, of plotting against her. Our daughter is scared to be around her own mother. That last part, that carefully delivered lie about Jade being scared of me, that almost broke my composure. I wanted to scream, wanted to jump up and tell everyone he was lying, that he was the one poisoning me, that Jade knew the truth. But I stayed silent, kept my head down, let him bury himself deeper. In your opinion, does your wife need psychiatric treatment? Desperately. Owen nodded. I just want her to get help. I want the woman I love back. Judge Morrison made notes, called my attorney to present my defense. James Morrison stood. Your Honor, while Mrs. Rhodes has clearly been struggling, I don't believe involuntary commitment is necessary. She's been cooperative with treatment. She hasn't harmed anyone. With outpatient care and family support, she can recover in a less restrictive environment. The judge looked at me. Mrs. Rhodes, would you like to say anything on your own behalf? This was it. The moment where I could fight, could argue against commitment, could potentially win and derail the entire plan, or I could do what needed to be done. I stood slowly, looked at the judge with wide, scared eyes. "They're watching," I said quietly. "All of them. Right now. The cameras. Mrs. Rhodes." James touched my arm. "Remember what we discussed?" I pulled away. "Don't you see them? In the corners. In the lights. They're always watching." Judge Morrison's expression shifted. "Mrs. Rhodes, there are no cameras in this courtroom except the official security cameras." "You're lying." I backed away from the table. "You're all lying. You're all part of it, trying to take everything from me." "Your Honor," James tried to intervene. "She's just confused." "I'm not confused." I spun toward Owen. "He's the one doing this. He's poisoning me, making me look crazy, so he can steal everything." "Scarlett, please." Owen stood, his face the picture of pain. "I'm trying to help you." "No," I pointed at him. "You're trying to destroy me, but I know what you're doing." Security stepped forward. Judge Morrison held up her hand. "Mrs. Rhodes, I understand you're frightened, but these kinds of accusations, these paranoid thoughts, this is exactly why treatment is necessary." "I'm not paranoid." Tears ran down my face, real ones now, because I was standing in a courtroom telling the absolute truth and everyone thought I was insane. He's poisoning me. He's having an affair with my therapist. They're planning to steal my company and kill me. Judge Morrison looked at Dr. Renee Palmer. "Dr. Palmer, is this consistent with the paranoid delusions you've documented?" "Yes, Your Honor." Renee's voice was sad. "She's fixated on these conspiracy theories. She can't distinguish reality from delusion." The judge made her decision. I could see it happen. Could see the moment she decided I was too far gone. "Mrs. Rhodes, I'm ordering involuntary commitment to Riverside Psychiatric Facility for a period of no less than 6 months for evaluation and treatment. You'll receive comprehensive psychiatric care. At the end of 6 months, we'll reassess your condition." The gavel came down. Just like that, my freedom was gone. Security approached to escort me out. I let myself crumple, let myself cry, let myself look completely broken. As they led me past Owen, he reached out and touched my shoulder. "I'll pray for your recovery." He said it loud enough for everyone to hear. Then he leaned close, whispered in my ear where no one else could hear. "Goodbye, Scarlett. Not goodbye. Not I love you. Not I'll visit soon. Goodbye." Like I was already dead to him. I looked up at his face, at this man I'd loved, this man I'd built a life with, this man who was erasing me. And I smiled. Just a small one. Just enough for him to see. His expression flickered, confusion crossing his features. Then, I was being led away, out of the courtroom, into a transport van, to Riverside Psychiatric Facility where I would spend the next 6 months. 6 months of pretending to be broken, while building Owen's destruction. The van pulled away from the courthouse. I watched the building disappear through the small window. Malcolm was out there somewhere, already working, already building our case. Jade was at home wearing her necklace, recording everything Owen said and did. Dr. Paul was monitoring my health remotely, making sure the haloperidol was clearing my system. And Owen was celebrating, thinking he'd won, thinking I was locked away and helpless. He had no idea that every video he'd starred in was saved and backed up in multiple locations. No idea that his financial crimes were being documented by forensic accountants. No idea that his mistresses were being interviewed by investigators. No idea that his own daughter was gathering evidence against him. No idea that in 6 months I would walk onto a television stage and destroy him in front of the entire world. The van pulled up to Riverside Psychiatric Facility, a large brick building surrounded by fences. Secure, locked, isolated, my home for the next 6 months. They processed me like a prisoner, took my clothes, gave me scrubs, photographed me, assigned me a room, room 14B, small, white walls, a bed bolted to the floor, a window with bars. I sat on that bed and looked around at my cell, and I started counting days, 180 days until Owen's world ended. I could wait. Riverside Psychiatric Facility smelled like antiseptic and desperation. That's the first thing I noticed when they led me through those locked doors. The second thing was the sound. Constant humming of fluorescent lights, distant voices, footsteps echoing on linoleum floors, doors locking and unlocking with heavy metallic clicks. The third thing was the realization that I'd voluntarily trapped myself here for 6 months. My room was on the second floor, East Wing, room 14B. Like I said, they gave me standard issue everything. Scrubs, slippers, a toothbrush, a comb, the basics of existence, and nothing more. No phone, no computer, no connection to the outside world except supervised visits and monitored calls. I was completely cut off. Exactly what Owen wanted. The first week was the hardest, not because of where I was, but because of the performance I had to maintain. I couldn't just be Scarlett Rhodes, sane woman who'd gotten herself committed as part of an elaborate revenge plan. I had to be Scarlett Rhodes, mentally ill patient who needed treatment, which meant I had to convince everyone. The nurses, the orderlies, the other patients. Everyone except the one person who mattered most. Dr. Lorraine Grant. She was assigned as my primary psychiatrist. Late 40s, kind eyes. The type of person who'd probably gone into psychiatry because she genuinely wanted to help people. I felt bad about what I was going to put her through. Our first session was in a small office on the 3rd floor. 2 chairs, a desk, a window that looked out over the facility grounds. Dr. Grant sat across from me with a file that I knew contained Dr. Renee Palmer's evaluation. Hello, Scarlett. I'm Dr. Grant. I'll be overseeing your treatment while you're here. Hello. I kept my voice flat, defeated. How are you feeling today? Tired, confused, like I don't belong here. She made a note. Do you know why you're here? Because everyone thinks I'm crazy. Do you think you're crazy? I paused, looked down at my hands. I don't know anymore. Sometimes I think I see things clearly. Sometimes I think maybe they're right and I am losing my mind. What kinds of things do you see clearly? That my husband is trying to steal my company. I looked up at her. That he's been poisoning me, making me seem unstable so he can take everything I've built. Dr. Grant didn't react, didn't dismiss me, just made another note. Tell me more about that. So, I did. I told her everything. The truth, the whole truth, knowing she'd write it all down as paranoid delusions. Owen's been putting medication in my coffee, haloperidol, for months. It makes me confused, paranoid. He's having an affair with my therapist, Dr. Palmer. They're working together. They got me committed so he can take control of my assets. And how do you know this? I saw the pill, found it in my coffee one morning. Did you have it tested? Yes, by my private physician, Dr. Paul Okonkwo. Dr. Grant made more notes. And Dr. Palmer, you believe she's romantically involved with your husband. I know she is. I've seen them together. Where? In his car. At hotels. I had cameras installed. I recorded everything. You installed cameras in your husband's car? Yes. Why did you do that? Because I knew something was wrong. I knew he was hiding something. Dr. Grant set down her pen. Scarlett, I want you to understand something. I'm not here to judge you. I'm here to help you. But I need you to be honest with me. Do you really believe your husband is poisoning you and conspiring with Dr. Palmer? Or is it possible you're experiencing paranoid thoughts brought on by stress? It's real. I held her gaze. I know how it sounds. I know it seems like classic paranoia, conspiracy theories, delusions of persecution, but it's real. Okay. Dr. Grant picked up her pen again. We'll explore that in our sessions. That first week, I played the part. Showed up to group therapy and talked about my stress. Took the medications they gave me and secretly spit them out later. Acted confused and frightened, and exactly how a woman experiencing a psychotic break would act. But I watched Dr. Grant watching me, and I started to suspect she was smarter than I'd given her credit for. The second week, things shifted. Dr. Grant called me in for a session, closed the door, sat down across from me with an expression I couldn't quite read. Scarlett, I've been reviewing your file very carefully. Your history, your accomplishments, the timeline of your symptoms. Okay. You built a $3.8 billion company from nothing. Is that correct? Yes. You have no prior psychiatric history, no family history of mental illness, no substance abuse, no head trauma, nothing that would predispose you to sudden onset paranoid schizophrenia. That's correct. The symptoms started approximately 8 months ago, according to Dr. Palmer's notes. Yes. Dr. Grant leaned forward. Scarlett, I'm going to ask you a direct question, and I need you to give me a direct answer. Are you actually mentally ill? My heart started racing. This was it. The moment where I had to decide. Keep performing or trust her. I looked at Dr. Grant's face. Saw something there. Intelligence. Skepticism. The mind of someone who questioned the official narrative. I made a choice. No, I'm not mentally ill. My husband is poisoning me with haloperidol to make me appear mentally ill so he can steal my company and have me permanently committed. Dr. Grant didn't blink. Prove it. I have a private physician who tested my blood and found haloperidol in my system. Dr. Paul Okonkwo. You can contact him. I also have video evidence of my husband poisoning my coffee. Audio recordings of him planning my commitment with Dr. Palmer. Financial records showing he's been embezzling from my company. All of it is being compiled by my attorney, Malcolm Chen. Why are you here? If you have all that evidence, why did you allow yourself to be committed? Because if I'd fought the commitment, Owen would have known I was onto him. He'd have been careful, hidden his tracks, gotten better lawyers. I needed him to think he'd won. Needed him to get arrogant and careless. Needed time to build an airtight case. Dr. Grant stared at me for a long moment. You let yourself be committed to a psychiatric facility for 6 months as part of a long-term revenge plan. Not revenge, justice. There's a difference. She sat back in her chair. This is either the most elaborate paranoid delusion I've ever encountered, or you're telling the truth and your husband is a sociopath. It's the second one. Prove it. Give me Dr. Okonkwo's contact information. If your story checks out, if he confirms the poisoning, then we'll talk about what comes next. I gave her Dr. Paul's number, watched her write it down, felt hope for the first time since arriving at Riverside. Dr. Grant called Dr. Paul that afternoon. I don't know what they discussed. Doctor-patient confidentiality meant she couldn't tell me. But the next session, she looked at me differently. Dr. Paul confirmed everything. She said it quietly. The haloperidol, the timeline, the systematic poisoning. Scarlett, if what you're telling me is true, you're the victim of a serious crime. It's true. Then why are we sitting here? Why aren't you calling the police? Because I need more than just proof of poisoning. I need proof of conspiracy, proof of financial crimes, proof that will destroy him so completely he can never hurt anyone again. And I need 6 months to gather all of it while he thinks I'm locked away and helpless. Dr. Grant shook her head. You're either brilliant or insane. I haven't decided which. Can't I be both? She almost smiled. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to document everything. Every session we have, I'm going to note that you show 0 signs of genuine mental illness. No paranoia, no delusions, no psychotic symptoms. I'm going to run every test we have. And at the end of 6 months, I'm going to testify that you were wrongfully committed. Thank you. Don't thank me yet. You're still stuck here for 6 months. And Scarlett, she met my eyes. If this goes wrong, if your husband's lawyers are better than you think, you could be trapped here much longer. I know, but I don't have a choice. This is the only way to beat him. Then I hope you know what you're doing. So do I. For the next 5 months, I lived a double life. To everyone except Dr. Grant, I was a mentally ill patient making slow progress. I attended group therapy, talked about my paranoid thoughts, worked with occupational therapy on coping mechanisms, played the part of someone gradually accepting treatment and improving. But in my sessions with Dr. Grant, I was myself. Sharp, focused, strategic. She ran every psychiatric test available. MPI, Rorschach, Beck Depression Inventory, cognitive assessments, neurological exams. Every single one came back normal. She documented it all, building a file that would prove I'd been committed under false pretenses. Meanwhile, outside those walls, Malcolm was working. I was allowed 1 phone call per week, monitored, recorded. I'd call Jade at Owen's mother's house where she was staying. Hi, baby. How are you? I'm okay, Mom. I miss you. I miss you too, sweetheart. How's school? It's fine. We did a project on architecture. I told everyone my mom is the best architect in the world. My heart squeezed. You're so sweet, baby. Are you being brave? Yes, I'm being very brave. Like we talked about, that was code. Code that meant she was wearing the necklace. Recording everything. Good girl. Mommy is so proud of you. When are you coming home? Soon, sweetheart. A few more months and Mommy will be all better. Then I'll come home and we'll be together again. I can't wait. After those calls, I'd go back to my room and cry. Because my 9-year-old daughter was being braver than most adults, living with the man who'd destroyed our family, gathering evidence, waiting for me to come back and make it right. I couldn't fail her. Malcolm would send updates through Dr. Grant, letters that looked like medical correspondence but contained coded information. The financial forensics were complete. Owen had embezzled $52 million, moved it to offshore accounts in the Cayman Islands, accounts Malcolm had already frozen through international banking cooperation. The affair evidence was overwhelming. Hotel receipts, text messages recovered from phone records, witness statements from hotel staff who'd seen Owen and Renee together. Felicity Grant, the first mistress, had agreed to testify. She was angry. Owen had dumped her cruelly when she'd become inconvenient. She wanted revenge. Bethany Cole, the second mistress, was harder to track down. She'd moved to Seattle after Owen threatened her, but Malcolm found her, convinced her to come forward. She'd signed an affidavit detailing their 8-month affair. Everything was coming together. But the most damning evidence came from Jade. Every week, Malcolm would download the recordings from her necklace. Hours and hours of audio. Owen's voice. Cold. Cruel. Nothing like the public persona. Jade, we need to talk about your mother. Okay. I know you miss her. But I need you to understand something. Your mom is very sick. She might not ever be the same. The doctors said she's getting better. The doctors have to say that, sweetheart. But the truth is, your mom might not ever come back. Her brain is broken. That's not true. It is true. And Jade, when your mom says things about me, about Renee, about people trying to hurt her, you can't believe her. She's not thinking clearly. But Mom said, your mom is delusional. That means she sees things that aren't real, believes things that aren't true. You can't trust what she says. Jade crying. I know it's hard, but you need to accept that the mom you knew is gone. We need to build a new life. You, me, and Renee. Renee's not my mom. No, she's not. But she cares about you. And she's been here for us when your mother couldn't be. I want my real mom. Owen's voice turning hard. Your real mom abandoned you, Jade. She chose to have a breakdown instead of being strong for you. She's selfish. She always has been. Stop it. It's the truth. Your mom cared more about her buildings than about us. About you. Why do you think she worked all the time? She didn't want to be home. That's a lie. Is it? Think about it, Jade. How many school plays did she miss? How many soccer games? How many nights did she come home late while I was the one making you dinner? Putting you to bed. Being there for you. Mom was building her company. She was ignoring her family. And now look where it got her. Locked in a psychiatric hospital because she couldn't handle the pressure of actually having to be a mother. Jade, sobbing now. I'm sorry, sweetheart. I know it hurts. But you need to hear the truth. Malcolm sent me transcripts of these recordings. I read them in my room at Riverside and felt rage so pure it was almost cleansing. Owen was systematically destroying my relationship with my daughter, poisoning her against me the same way he'd literally poisoned me. But Jade was strong. Every recording ended with her defending me, refusing to accept his narrative. That's my girl, I thought. That's my brave, brilliant girl. Month 4, Owen started living large. Dr. Grant would sometimes leave magazines in the session room. Vanity Fair, Forbes, People, always open to pages featuring Owen. There he was on a yacht in the Mediterranean. Renee beside him in a designer bikini. The caption read, Owen Ashby takes a much-needed break while wife continues treatment. There he was, at a charity gala, accepting an award on my behalf for Rhodes Architecture's humanitarian work. His speech, reprinted in the magazine, Scarlett would want us to continue her legacy of building communities. Even though she can't be here tonight, her spirit lives on in every project we complete. Lies, all lies. He was dismantling my legacy while pretending to honor it. There he was in an interview with a business magazine, discussing the future of Rhodes Architecture. We're exploring taking the company public. It's what Scarlett always wanted, to share her vision with a wider audience. An IPO would allow us to expand globally, take on bigger projects, really change the world. More lies. I'd never wanted to go public. Wanted to keep Rhodes Architecture private, so I could maintain creative control. But Owen didn't care about my vision. He cared about cashing out. An IPO would make him billions. Dr. Grant watched me read these articles. "How does this make you feel?" she asked. Angry, but also satisfied. Satisfied. Every interview he gives, every public appearance, every lie he tells, it's all evidence. It's all part of the narrative we're going to destroy. The higher he climbs, the further he'll fall. You're really going to take him down. I'm going to obliterate him. Month 5, Malcolm sent word through Dr. Grant. Everything was ready. The evidence was compiled. The case was airtight. All we needed was the right moment, the right stage. I want him exposed publicly. I told Dr. Grant during a session, not in a courtroom where only lawyers and a judge see the evidence. I want the whole world to watch him fall. How do you plan to do that? I'm working on it. 2 weeks later, Owen made an announcement that solved everything. Rhodes Architecture Group was going public. He'd scheduled a live interview on the country's biggest morning show to announce the IPO. The interview was set for October 12th, 8 a.m. Eastern Time. On Morning America Live with Amanda Cross, millions of people would be watching. Perfect. Malcolm reached out to the show's producers through back channels, sent them a teaser, a 30-second video clip. Owen crushing pills into my coffee. Crystal clear. Undeniable. The producers called back within an hour. Is this real? 100% real. And if you give Scarlett Rhodes 10 minutes on your show, live and uninterrupted, she'll give you the biggest story of the decade. What do you mean? I mean, she crashes Owen's interview, exposes everything. Live on television. Can you imagine the ratings? The producers went silent, thinking, calculating, wrestling with journalistic ethics versus the biggest scoop in years. Finally, we're in. But if this backfires, if the evidence isn't real, it's real, and it's going to change everything. The deal was made. October 12th. Owen would come on to announce the IPO and discuss his journey as a devoted husband saving his wife's company. And I would walk through that door and destroy him in front of the entire world. I had 6 weeks to prepare. Dr. Grant submitted her evaluation to the court in early September. Mrs. Rhodes has made remarkable progress. She is stable, lucid, and no longer presents any danger to herself or others. I recommend immediate release to outpatient care. The court reviewed her recommendation, approved it. I was released on September 15th. Owen was not happy, but he had to play the role for cameras. He met me at Riverside's front entrance with flowers and that fake smile. "Welcome home, honey. Thank you for taking care of everything, Owen." He drove me to a small apartment across town. Not our mansion. That's where Renee was living now. "You'll stay here while you continue your recovery." Owen set my bag down. "It's quiet, peaceful. I think you'll be comfortable. Whatever you think is best. I'm just glad you're doing better." He kissed my forehead. "I've missed you. I've missed you too." The lies tasted like ash. After he left, I stood in that small apartment and smiled. 4 weeks until October 12th. 4 weeks until Owen's world ended. I called Malcolm from a burner phone. "I'm out," I heard. His voice was tight with emotion. "Are you okay?" "I'm perfect." "Is everything ready?" "Everything. Financial forensics, witness statements, video evidence, audio recordings, medical records. We have it all." "Good. Now here's what we're going to do." For the next 4 weeks I played the perfect recovering patient. I attended outpatient therapy sessions with a new therapist, talked about my progress, my gratitude for Owen's support, my hope for the future. I had supervised visits with Jade. Owen was always there, watching, making sure I didn't say anything inappropriate. But Jade and I didn't need words. We had our own language, a squeeze of the hand, a specific smile, code that meant everything was going according to plan. I even attended a Rhodes Architecture Board meeting, sat quietly in the back, watched Owen present quarterly earnings. He was good, confident, charismatic. The board loved him. He'd completely taken over my company, my creation, and everyone applauded. But I noticed things, small things. Decisions that didn't align with Rhodes Architecture's values. Contracts with developers I'd specifically avoided because they cut corners on sustainable materials. Design changes that prioritized profit over innovation. Owen was destroying my company from the inside, turning it into just another corporate architecture firm. Not for much longer. October 12th arrived like Judgment Day. I woke up at 5 a.m., got ready carefully, the black power suit I'd bought specifically for this. Hair and makeup professionally done. I looked like Scarlett Rhodes again. Not the broken woman who'd been committed. The billionaire architect who built an empire. Malcolm picked me up at 6. "Are you ready for this?" he asked as we drove to the television studio. "I've been ready for 8 months. Scarlett, what you're about to do, it's going to change everything. Your life will never be private again. Everyone will know the story. Good. Let them know. Let every woman who's been gaslit and manipulated and told she's crazy know that you can fight back. You can win." We arrived at the studio at 7. The producers met us, went over the plan. Owen would come on at 8. They'd do the interview normally for the first 10 minutes. Then Amanda would pivot, ask about the serious information they'd received. That's when I'd walk out. The producers were nervous. This had never been done before, ambushing a guest live on air with his wife and evidence of his crimes. But the ratings would be historic. I waited in the green room, watched Owen on the monitor. He looked perfect, confident, completely unaware of what was coming. Malcolm sat beside me, squeezed my hand. "You've got this." "I know." At 8:15, Amanda gave the signal. I stood up, smoothed my suit, took a breath, and walked onto that stage. The moment I stepped through that door, the entire studio gasped. You could feel the air change, shock rippling through the audience like a wave. Owen's face went completely white. All the color drained in seconds. His mouth opened, but no sound came out. I walked across that stage with 8 months of rage powering every step. Sat down in the chair they'd positioned opposite Owen. Crossed my legs. Smiled. "Hello, Owen." His hands were shaking. "Scarlett, what? You're supposed to be locked away while you steal my company." I kept my voice calm, conversational. "Play victim to the media. Live in my house with your mistress. This isn't. You can't." He looked at the producers, at Amanda, at the cameras. "What is this?" "This is the truth, Owen. Something you've been avoiding for a very long time." I pulled out the remote control, clicked it. Every screen in that studio lit up with video. Owen crushing pills, stirring them into my coffee, looking around to make sure no one was watching. The studio erupted. Gasps. Someone screamed. The audience couldn't believe what they were seeing. "That's not real." Owen lunged forward like he was going to grab the remote. "That's edited. This is insane." "It's not edited, Owen." I didn't move. "It's from the hidden cameras I installed in our kitchen 8 months ago. The cameras you had no idea existed." I clicked again. Audio. Owen's voice on a phone call. "The symptoms are getting worse. Another month, and we can have her committed." Renee's voice. "Good. Once she's locked up, you move on the assets. Full control. Owen. And then we can finally be together. Publicly." I looked at the camera. That voice belongs to Dr. Renee Palmer, my therapist, also my husband's mistress, also the woman who falsified my psychiatric evaluations to have me committed so Owen could steal everything I'd built. The studio was in chaos now. Audience members crying out, cameras zooming in on Owen's face. Amanda Cross looking genuinely shocked even though she'd been briefed. Owen tried to stand. "This is a setup. She's mentally ill. Everyone knows." "Sit down, Owen." Something in my voice made him sit. I clicked the remote again. More photos appeared. Owen and Renee kissing in his car. Owen and Renee in bed together from my hidden cameras. Hotel receipts. Timeline of their affair. Affair number 3. I said calmly. But let's not forget the others. Click. Owen with Felicity Grant. Owen with Bethany Cole. Dates. Locations. Evidence of 4 years of cheating. You've been cheating on me for 4 years, Owen. Multiple women. While playing the devoted husband to the media. While accepting awards for standing by your mentally ill wife. The audience was dead silent now. Stunned. But we're not done. Click. Financial records filled the screens. Bank transfers, offshore accounts, detailed forensic accounting reports. While I was institutionalized, you embezzled $52 million from my company. Rhodes Architecture, the company I built from nothing. I showed the paper trail. Every transfer, every hidden account, every personal expense charged to the company. Private jets to Monaco. Shopping sprees where you bought your mistress $50,000 dresses. Mansion renovations, all on my money, while you told the world you were honoring my legacy. Click. Photos of Owen and Renee on yachts. In Paris, dripping in luxury, living like royalty on stolen money. Owen's face had gone from white to gray. He looked sick. But the worst part, my voice got quieter, more dangerous. What you did to our daughter. I clicked the remote one more time. Audio played. Jade's necklace recordings. Owen's voice. Your mom abandoned you, Jade. She's selfish. She always has been. Your mom cared more about her buildings than about you. She's not coming back. Jade crying in the background. The studio went completely silent. You could hear people breathing. You turned my daughter against me, I said. My voice was steady, but my eyes were wet. You made her think I didn't love her. While I was locked in a facility you put me in, with poison you fed me. Scarlett, please. Owen was crying now. I can explain. Explain to the FBI. On cue, federal agents walked onto the set. The audience screamed. Pandemonium. Owen Ashby, you're under arrest. They read the charges. Attempted murder, poisoning, fraud, embezzlement, conspiracy. They put handcuffs on him right there, on live television, millions of people watching. Owen was sobbing. You set me up. You bitch. You. No, Owen. I stood up, walked closer. You set yourself up. I just gave you enough rope to hang yourself, and you did it beautifully. As they dragged him toward the exit, I turned to the camera. To everyone watching, if someone is making you feel crazy, document it. Record it. Save it. Trust yourself. And when you're ready, take your power back. I looked back at Owen one last time. Oh, and Owen, you said you were honoring my legacy with this IPO. I smiled. The IPO is canceled. You have no authority. You never did. As of this morning, I'm reinstated as CEO of Rhodes Architecture Group. You're fired. You're broke. And you're going to prison. Owen screamed as they dragged him out of the building. I sat back down, looked at Amanda Cross. Now, where were we? The video went viral in minutes. 100 million views in 6 hours. Trending #1 worldwide on every platform. Social media exploded. She's a genius. The most badass thing I've ever seen. Owen Ashby is done. This is what happens when you underestimate a woman. I watched Scarlett Rhodes build that company. She deserved every second of this revenge. Cable news covered it non-stop. Legal experts analyzing the evidence. Psychologists discussing gaslighting. Financial experts on the embezzlement. Everyone had an opinion. And simultaneously across town, FBI agents were arresting Dr. Renee Palmer at her office. She was in the middle of a therapy session when they walked in. Dr. Renee Palmer, you're under arrest for conspiracy to commit fraud and attempted murder, medical malpractice, falsifying psychiatric records, and accessory to attempted murder. She collapsed, started begging, crying. Her medical license was revoked on the spot. Her career destroyed in seconds, just like she'd tried to destroy mine. I spent the rest of that day giving interviews, telling my story, making sure every detail was public. Malcolm stood beside me through all of it. That evening, I went to Owen's mother's house to get Jade. My daughter ran to me, threw her arms around me, held on like she'd never let go. I watched it, Mom. I saw you on TV. You were so brave. So were you, baby. You were the bravest of all of us. I held my 9-year-old daughter and cried. We'd survived. We'd won. The trial took place 4 months later. Owen and Renee were tried together. The courthouse was a media circus. Cameras everywhere. Public lined up around the block to get seats. The evidence was overwhelming. Video of Owen poisoning me. Medical experts testifying about the systematic drugging. Dr. Paul explaining the levels of haloperidol in my system. Dr. Grant testifying that I showed 0 signs of actual mental illness. Financial forensics. Detailed charts showing every dollar Owen stole. Every offshore account, every fraudulent transaction, Jade's recordings, hours of Owen's cruelty, his manipulation, his attempts to turn her against me. Felicity Grant testified about her affair with Owen, how he'd lied and manipulated her. Bethany Cole testified about her affair, how Owen had threatened her into silence. The defense tried everything. She consented to the medication, destroyed by medical testimony proving I never consented. She's still mentally ill and fabricated all this, destroyed by Dr. Grant's expert evaluation. The recordings were illegally obtained, overruled because I had every right to record in my own home. Nothing stuck. The evidence was too solid, too comprehensive. Malcolm had built an airtight case. The jury deliberated for 3 hours. Guilty on all counts. Owen's sentencing came 2 weeks later. The courtroom was packed. I sat in the front row with Jade and Malcolm. The judge was severe, a man in his 60s who looked at Owen with pure disgust. "Mr. Ashby," he began, "in my 30 years on the bench, I have rarely seen such calculated cruelty. You poisoned your wife. You stole her life's work. You tried to erase her. You planned to murder her. You psychologically abused your own daughter." He paused. "You are a predator, a monster. I hope you spend every day of your sentence thinking about the brilliant woman you tried to destroy, and how she destroyed you instead." The sentences: attempted murder, 25 years, poisoning and assault, 10 years, fraud and embezzlement, 15 years, conspiracy, 10 years, total, 60 years in federal prison, no possibility of parole for 30 years. Owen broke down completely, sobbing, begging. The bailiff had to physically hold him up. Dr. Renee Palmer's sentencing was next. Conspiracy to attempted murder, 20 years. Medical malpractice, 10 years. Fraud, 10 years. Total, 40 years in federal prison. Medical license permanently revoked. She didn't cry, just stared straight ahead, already dead inside. As they led them both away, I felt something I hadn't felt in almost a year. Free. Taking everything back happened quickly after that. Rhodes Architecture Group. I was reinstated as CEO immediately. The board gave me a standing ovation when I walked into my first meeting back. All of Owen's decisions were reversed. All of his terrible contracts canceled. The company redirected back to my vision. Within a month, our stock value had increased 40%. Clients were calling. Investors were interested. Rhodes Architecture was stronger than ever. Custody. Full custody of Jade returned to me immediately. Owen's parental rights were terminated. He would never see her again. Financial recovery. The $52 million was recovered from the offshore accounts. Plus, I was awarded a $100 million judgment against Owen. He had nothing left to take. But the judgment stood as a permanent record of his crimes. The mansion. I had everything Owen and Renee had touched removed. Every piece of furniture they'd bought. Every decoration they'd chosen. Jade helped me. We had a bonfire in the backyard. Burned it all. Watched the smoke rise into the sky. Goodbye to the bad memories. Jade said. Goodbye. I agreed. Then we renovated. Made it ours again. Reclaimed every room. The first few months with Jade were hard. She'd been through trauma. Heard her father say terrible things about me for months. Lived with the stress of the secret she was keeping. We went to therapy together. A real therapist this time. Dr. Sarah Kim, who specialized in family trauma. In one session, Jade broke down. "I knew you were pretending, Mom. But part of me started to believe him. That you didn't love me. That you cared more about work than me. I'm so sorry." I pulled her close. "Baby, you have nothing to apologize for. He's a master manipulator. Even adults fell for his lies. You were so incredibly brave. You're my hero. Really, really. You helped save us. You and that necklace gathered the evidence that put him in prison. You protected both of us." Jade cried into my shoulder. "I was so scared." "I know, sweetheart. I was scared too, but we were scared together. And we won." By the end of the first year, Jade was thriving, back to her old self, laughing, playing, trusting again. She started expressing interest in architecture, would sit with me in my home office while I worked on designs. "What are you working on, Mom?" A new affordable housing project. Apartments for families who can't afford regular rent. I showed her the renderings. We're trying to make them beautiful and sustainable. Everyone deserves a beautiful home. Can I help design something someday? Of course you can. I pulled her onto my lap. You can be anything you want. Architect, doctor, astronaut, whatever makes you happy. I want to be like you. Strong, brave, someone who doesn't let anyone take what's theirs. My heart swelled. You already are, baby. You already are. 6 months after the trial, I established the Rhodes Foundation for Survivors of Gaslighting and Abuse. Initial donation, $50 million. Mission, legal aid for victims of financial abuse, support for people escaping gaslighting relationships, educational programs about coercive control, advocacy for better laws around psychological abuse. I hired a team, therapists who specialized in abuse recovery, lawyers who'd work pro bono, financial advisors who'd help victims recover stolen assets, tech experts who'd teach digital security. Within the first year, we helped 3,000 survivors, recovered $15 million in stolen assets, helped 200 successful prosecutions of abusers, provided free therapy to 5,000 people. By year 2, we expanded nationally, offices in 15 cities, 10,000 survivors helped, educational programs in schools, teaching young people about healthy relationships. I became personally involved, spoke at events, met with survivors, shared my story to give others courage. One woman approached me after a speaking engagement, tears in her eyes. My husband was doing the same thing to me, making me think I was crazy, stealing money from our accounts. But I saw your story, and I documented everything. I got out. I'm pressing charges. You saved my life. I hugged her. You saved your own life. You were strong enough to trust yourself. I just showed you it was possible. The foundation became my legacy, more important than any building I'd ever designed. Under my leadership again, Rhodes architecture soared. New projects, a $1.2 billion sustainable city development, the first carbon-neutral urban center in North America, award-winning affordable housing complexes, beautiful architecture with a purpose, proving you didn't have to sacrifice design for affordability, cultural centers in underserved communities, museums, libraries, schools, buildings that would enrich lives for generations. Rhodes Architecture became the #1 firm in the world. I won the Pritzker Architecture Prize, the Nobel Prize of Architecture, the AAA Gold Medal, humanitarian awards for the affordable housing work. My net worth hit $6.4 billion, but more important than the money, my reputation was restored, my dignity reclaimed, my legacy secured. 3 years after Owen's conviction, Amanda Cross invited me back on Morning America Live. Same show, same stage where I destroyed my husband. But this time, it was a victory lap. Amanda smiled warmly. Scarlett Rhodes, welcome back. Thank you for having me. Looking back now, 3 years later, do you regret how you handled it? Not for 1 second. My answer was immediate. Some critics said you could have just gone to the police immediately. I could have, but men like Owen are slippery. Rich, charming, connected. He would have hired the best lawyers, spun the story, maybe gotten away with a light sentence or a settlement. I needed the evidence to be irrefutable. I needed the world to see exactly who he was. You let yourself be poisoned and committed for 6 months to achieve that. I controlled it as much as I could. And yes, it was risky. But the alternative was letting him win. I couldn't do that. What do you want people to take from your story? I leaned forward. That abuse isn't always physical. Gaslighting is real. Financial abuse is real. If someone is making you feel crazy, trust yourself. Document everything. And when you're ready, take your power back. Any contact with Owen? None. He's in prison, where he belongs. He's exactly where he should be. And you're thriving. I'm free, and that's worth more than anything. The interview ended with a standing ovation. That evening, I picked Jade up from her friend's house. She was 12 now, top of her class, confident, kind, fierce. We drove home together. She was telling me about her day, a project she was working on for school, a boy she thought was cute. Normal 12-year-old things. When we got home, she asked, "Mom, do you think Dad ever really loved us?" I paused, chose my words carefully. I think he loved the idea of us, the image, the status, but real love, no. Real love doesn't poison. Real love doesn't destroy. Jade nodded. Processing. I'm glad he's gone. Me too, baby. Mom. Yeah. When I grow up, I want to be an architect like you. You can be anything you want, sweetheart. I want to be like you. Strong. Brave. Someone who doesn't let anyone take what's theirs. I pulled her close. You already are. You already are. The next morning, I stood in my office at Rhodes Architecture Group. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city's skyline. Buildings I designed dotted the landscape. My vision made real. My legacy built in steel and glass and stone. On my desk, a photo of Jade and me at the opening of the Community Hope Housing Complex, a building we designed together. Her first architectural project. My phone buzzed. News alert. Owen Ashby denied parole. Will serve minimum 30 years. I looked at the notification, smiled slightly, deleted it. He didn't deserve even a second of my thoughts anymore. I had buildings to design, a daughter to raise, a foundation helping survivors, a company changing skylines, a life to live. Owen had tried to poison me, erase me, destroy me. Instead, he taught me exactly how strong I really was. And I was going to spend every single day proving that survivors don't just survive. We thrive. Before I finish, I want you to understand something. This story isn't just about revenge. It's about reclaiming power that someone tried to steal. If you're in a situation where someone is trying to control you, diminish you, erase you, know this. You're stronger than you think. Your intuition is valid. If something feels wrong, it probably is. Trust yourself. Document your truth. Save texts. Record conversations where legal. Keep evidence. Build your case. And when the moment is right, when you're ready and safe, take your power back. Because people who underestimate you, people who think they can manipulate and destroy you, they're setting themselves up for their own destruction. The best revenge isn't just success. It's exposing the truth. It's protecting others from the same abuse. It's building something so strong that no one can ever take it from you again. Gaslighting is real. Financial abuse is real. Psychological manipulation is real. But so is your strength. So is your resilience. So is your ability to fight back and win. If this story moved you, if it gave you strength or hope, I need you to do something for me. Hit that subscribe button right now. Join this community of people who believe in justice. People who refuse to let good people be destroyed by bad ones. Share this story with someone who needs to hear it. Someone who might be going through their own battle. Let them know they're not alone. And comment below. Tell me where you're watching from. Or just say I'm with you, Mr. Hearthline. Let's build a community that supports survivors. That celebrates people who fight back. That refuses to stay silent. Together, we're not just sharing stories. We're changing lives. We're giving people the courage to document their truth. To trust themselves. To take their power back. Until next time, stay strong. Stay smart. Stay true to yourself. Remember, the people who try to break you are only revealing their own weakness. Your strength was always there. Sometimes it just takes a crisis to show you exactly how powerful you really are. I'm Mr. Hearthline, and I'll see you in the next story. But before you go, take one more second. Look at your life. If something feels wrong, trust that feeling. You're not crazy. You're not paranoid. You're paying attention. And paying attention might just save your life.